My name is Hà Trang, and these are my two group members, Minh Phương and Thanh Hương. Today we're here to talk about our genuine views of learning and teaching methods. What subjects should be taught in schools and how should they be taught? Now I want to concentrate on what subjects are being taught in schools, whether they're useful or not, and why. Firstly, I'm going to talk about common subjects. Some of the most common subjects are English, history, mathematics, science, civic and physical education. English is now one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, so of course it will have an important influence on the students' businesses in the future, as many students now want to go abroad when they grow up. History is generally the study of how people used to live in the past, of important events of countries, which makes students take pride in being a citizen of the countries. Science is a systematic enterprise that organizes and builds knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions of the universe, so this necessary subject broadens our horizons. Mathematics is also a very necessary subject. It provides us with useful material for the future and allows us to look on different perspectives on situations. And spending time doing mathematics exercises also helps improve our logical thinking. And I don't think civic is a necessary subject because learning concepts is an effective way to improve students' behavior. Rather than learning raw theory, students should practice this subject through realistic daily activities. And finally, physical education. I think this is a necessary subject. It's relaxing than most other subjects, so the relaxation it brings to students helps them relax for great results in the following lessons. Now I'd like to move on to additional subjects. In my opinion, art is a very necessary subject. It requires great creativity, so it stimulates students' imagination. Citizenship is also very useful. It is taught at school as an academic subject, similar to politics or sociology, in order for students to know more deeply about the society they're living in. Music is quite an interesting subject, so it helps students relax for great results in the next lessons. And finally, home economics. In home economics, students learn about cooking and farming, but they don't usually practice. If only this subject is of more practical value, it would be a lot more useful and surprisingly enjoyable. Do you agree with me? I hope that all of you agree with what I've said. In general, no matter what subject it is, no matter if it's boring or interesting, students should put as much effort as possible into their study in order to contribute to the development of the society and to achieve remarkable success in the future. Now let's continue with our group member, Minh Phương.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh Phương. I'm going to talk about four things, how things are being taught in schools now. What are the advantages and drawbacks of that teaching method, and should homework be banned? The first thing is how things are being taught in schools now. Teachers use textbooks to teach students in schools. Most teachers give students homework in workbooks, reference books, or handouts. They are tested monthly to see what the students are good and not so good at. Usually there's a short test at the beginning of each lesson to check if the students have revised the old lessons. Now we'll turn to the advantages of the teaching method, which are tests can motivate students to study harder. Test is the assessments of excellence of students. And the curriculum is nationally standardized. However, there are still some drawbacks of this teaching method, including too much theory and too little practice. Some subjects force students to study by heart and prohibiting students' creativity. subjects unsuitable to each student's aptitudes and likings are still made compulsory. Teachers do not use illustrations and modern advances to help students study the lessons better. Finally, should homework be banned? I'd say no. Why not? Homework helps teachers determine how well the students have understood the lessons. Homework helps students revise and reinforce the school material and help them prepare for major examinations and good tests.
So now I'm going to tell you some solutions in order to fix the problems that Minh Phương has raised for us. Some solutions I propose. The first is depends on the teachers to make their lessons more enjoyable for the students. I don't know about others, but my class always enjoy the short stories or a couple of jokes in the middle of the class. They are very short actually, but they are enough to wake my friends from their normal sleep. Next, I believe that field trips are always practical choices for students. For example, I remember the last time we went to the park for a literature lessons. The main thing isn't about relaxing, but the main thing is that our teacher lets us to express our feelings in various ways, not just to sit in class and write about others. And at the end of the class, we actually collected many papers, drawings, and poems. And believe me, there's even a student-made song about a Coca-Cola bottle. Finally, it is necessary for teachers to require students for more opening material. This encourages students to widen their knowledge and at the same time actually have the interest in the subject themselves. And there's much more solutions, which I can't speak all of them right now. But to clarify the understanding, I can show you one of the most well-known examples. It's the mind map. It basically are pictures, but contains three main factors: colors, lines, and diversity. These three elements come together and create the effectiveness of this method. The advantages of the mind map can be seen in three transformations. First, the boring reviewing material becomes more interesting to the students. This leads to the refreshment in our brain and let the students to learn with excitement. And therefore, if you are a talented artist, I believe that you can all pass the last semester exam only by drawing a lot of colorful pictures. So we move to the next part. It's the interesting subjects that we believe it can be added in our school education. In my opinion, I would recommend fictional writing.
Thời gian của nhóm đã hết 5 phút. Xin mời phần hỏi của ban giám khảo.
Okay, that was Chelsea. Do you have questions for Victor?
So in the first part of the presentation, you talk about the common subjects and why they're important. Are there any subjects that you think are currently being taught in schools that should not be taught or that are not important or necessary?
I enjoy most subjects at school, so the only one that I think is not necessary is civic. And I've talked about that during my presentation. It is taught in order for students to improve their behavior, but unfortunately learning concepts and after those long lessons, my classmates' behavior doesn't seem to improve. That's why I don't like it, and students should practice through realistic daily activities instead of sitting and writing and revising what they've learned.
And you also talked about that homework should not be banned. Do you think that there should be like a limit on how much homework someone can receive in school each night?
I think that homework should not be bad, but there shouldn't be too much homework. For students need some time also to relax, and too much of anything can be not very useful.
Good work, thank you.